All right, so now we just covered our quintuplets. We got all through how to count it, how to play them, how to play accents. Now we're gonna cover the same type of idea, but this time with septuplets. So what are septuplets? Well, similar to quintuplets, they're a subdivision, but this time it's 7 notes per beat instead of 5 notes per beat. One thing that's nice, we're actually gonna count it very similar to how we counted our quintuplets. There's just a couple different syllables at the end. Check this out. Ta, ka, din, na. Those are the same first 4 syllables, so this should be partially learned already. Anyway, after that, so we've got ta, ka, din, na, ge, na, ga. So that's 7 syllables for our 7 notes per beat. Now, just like last time, we're also gonna learn to count this first. If you can't count it clearly, you're gonna have a heck of a time trying to play it. So we're gonna start there before we get into actually putting it on the set. 1, 2, 3, 4. Taka did naka naka 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 taka did naka taka did naka naka taka did naka naka. And a little bit quicker. 1, 2, 3, 4. Taka did naka naka 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 taka did naka naka. So just like the quintuplets, you can count these super articulately even as you ramp up the tempos. It's one of the really nice ways that this counting can help you when you're actually playing the drums. So again, try to vocalize this, make it actually counting it out loud. Counting it in your head is super easy to fall off and not realize that you've even done so. Anyway, let's get to playing these actually on the drums. Our first example where we're playing something, we're literally just gonna match our syllables that we're saying with our sticks on the snare drum. Again, take it nice and slow. It'd be a great idea to practice this on a practice pad, even just on your laps. You can just get the hang of coordinating that without having huge snare drum volume in your face while you're doing it. Taka din naka naka taka din naka naka taka din naka naka taka din naka naka. All right, so now that we've got the basic subdivision happening, the next step is to throw in the accents. Kind of like we did with the quintuplets, we're gonna go one accent through all the different pieces of the septuplet, and then we're gonna take one example where we start to combine them. Here's the thing, in quintuplets, there were 32 different rhythms we could make with all the different combinations of accent positions within that subdivision for a single beat. In septuplets, this is exponentially larger. There's almost 130 different septuplet rhythms. So we're gonna cover significantly less of them while still covering more than we did with the quintuplets. So let's jump in. Don't let that overwhelm you. Same rules apply. Once you're really comfy with all the individual pieces, the rest of the rhythms are made of those pieces. So make sure you spend a pile of time on each of these examples where we're just isolating the single parts. They're so important to feeling comfortable within your septuplets when you try to put them on the drum kit for beats and fills and all sorts of craziness that you're gonna get into in a couple more lessons. Anyway, let's get into accenting this first beat. Just like it was in quintuplets, that's ta, the note that lines up on the pulse. Taka din naka naka taka din naka naka taka din naka naka taka din naka naka. Now on to the second septuplet partial, ka. Again, these first 4 vocally are the same as the quintuplets, but we're putting them into this different subdivision. So we're doing ka in septuplets. It's just the second note again. Let's jump in. Taka din naka naka taka din naka naka taka din naka naka taka din naka naka. Next up, the third septuplet partial, ta-ka-din. Let's do it. Ta-ka-din, na-ke, ta-ka-din, na-ke, ta-ka-din, na-ke, ta-ka-din, na-ke. All right, on to the fourth septuplet partial, ta-ka-din-a. This is where it starts to get kind of fun. You'll see what I mean when you actually try this. It starts to feel a little weird. Anyway, let's jump in. Ta-ka-din-na-ke, 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 ta-ka-din-na-ke. All right, and now we're on to the fifth quintuplet partial. So we've got ta-ka-din-na-ke. This is one of the first ones that's a new syllable from our count what we were doing with the quintuplets. Again, a little strange. Let's try it out. Ta-ka-din-na-ke, 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 ta-ka-din-na-ke. We're almost there. The second last one. Ta-ka-din-na-ke, na. So the second last septuplet partial. Ta-ka-din-na-ke, 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 ta-ka-din-na-ke. And finally, the last septuplet partial, ga, ta-ka-din-na-ke, na-ga. Let's do it. Ta-ka-din-na-ke, 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 ta-ka-din-na-ke. Now, especially with that last one, some of you may have trouble keeping that in time. You may find that that accent at the very end starts sliding onto the beat. If that's you, place a kick drum on ta, that first note of the septuplet. Really crank that thing. That way it feels solidly on the beat and you can more accurately feel like that accent leads into the bass drum on ta. Again, this will be a help if you're having trouble keeping it in time, but just a little extra thing that you can do to make these feel great. Anyway, now let's try one example where we're gonna put some of these pieces together. For this, we're gonna accent the first, fourth, and seventh septuplet partials. So that will sound like this. Ta-ka-din-na-ke, na-ka, ta-ka-din-na-ke, na-ka, ta-ka-din-na-ke, na-ka, ta. Little bit weird to get the hang of, but might be a good idea to just try this one first without a metronome, and when you get the hang of it, then try to make it evenly line up per quarter note every time. Anyway, let's see what this actually sounds like on the drums. Ta-ka-din-na-ke, 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 ta-ka-din-na-ke. All right, so that is our introduction to septuplets here. Your assignment is to go over the 10 examples that we isolated. Just the counting, no accents, all of the individual accents within the septuplet, and then that combination accent that we ended with. Just like in the previous ones, get these happening nice and slow. I would honestly recommend just not even using a metronome to start. Get this happening with your counting until it feels comfortable. We demoed these all at 40, but you can take them way faster than that. Just know that because you're cramming 7 notes in per quarter note, your BPM number is gonna probably still stay pretty low, but even as you get this up to like 60 and 70 BPM, that's pretty quick with septuplets. So anyway, get used to the stuff that we showed you here in the video, take a stab at some of the additional examples that are below the video here, and once you can play them all comfortably and you feel like you've got your septuplets down, I'll see you in the next lesson. Let's do it.